Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this evening. It's a privilege to honor to have you all here. Thank you so much. Without wasting so much time, we'll start the session right away. But before we start, we'll start with a prayer. Um, Brother Hope, do you mind giving us the opening prayer, please?
No problem. Please confirm.
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Okay, let us pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for a time like this. We thank you for bringing all of us together to learn at your feet. May your name be praised, O Lord.
Amen.
We thank you for the opportunity for like minds to come together, for professionals to come together to learn from each other. We thank you for the person you are using this evening. We pray, Lord, that you help him.
Amen.
We pray, Lord, that through him, that you speak to us the things we need to hear.
Amen.
Lord, we want these sessions, this one and subsequent ones, to be sessions where people will be blessed,
Amen.
where people will take away things that they can immediately apply and change their lives.
Amen.
And help them go as professionals. Lord, please
Amen.
do that for us.
Amen.
Such insights, Lord, please bring it into this session.
Amen.
Lord, please bless us mightily.
Amen.
We want to be blessed both professionally and spiritually, and you can
Amen.
do that for us. Do that for
Amen.
us tonight, oh Lord. And as we
Amen.
kick off now, please start with us
Amen.
and end it with us as well. For we pray in Jesus' name.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks everyone for joining. All right. So, good evening. As we all know, our session is starting now, and our facilitator for this evening is Brother Olumide. He's here with us, and during the course of the session, the webinar, we also have our other mentors here who will also be supporting as well. Supporting him as well. They will also support in answering the questions that people would be raising. Please feel free. We've dropped some rules of engagement on the chat session. Please feel free to check that, just so that we can adhere to it and get the best out of this session. I pray God will help every one of us, and as we listen, I'm sure we'll learn a couple of things. Let's jot down those questions when we're giving room for questions. Of course, we can always bring that up and ask. Without further ado, please permit me to welcome Brother Olumide. Brother Olumide, over to you, please.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Olumide Olale. Okay, let me share my screen. Sorry, just give me a few minutes. I want to share my screen. Okay, please confirm you can see my screen.
You can see your screen. We can see
Yes,
it.
we can see your screen.
Okay. So good evening, everyone. My name is Olumide Olale. I'm a software engineer with like 8 years of coding experience. I have skills in JavaScript, TypeScript, Ruby, familiar with C#, Java, and Co. So I've built a couple of solutions: the AFM choir, the AF choir, BIM app, Bible Giant. Then I've built an article publishing application, and some other applications out there. I've also worked in different organizations. Worked in Glow, InterSwitch, currently with Ventis. I also have my own startup, Olu Microsoft, where we develop tech solutions for business organizations, and also with focus on startups. And then we also run internship program also for upcoming developers. I also have a YouTube channel called Make Them Tech, where I create video tutorials on programming. I've also mentored developers, also oversee different projects and also developers within the country and also outside the country. So I'm also still a learner actually. So it's a knowledge-based field. That's software development, and I'm still learning. So and then we are learning together. So I welcome all of us to this session where we'll be dealing with your space in software development. Find, feel, and feast. So we'll go straight into the outline. So I'm going to have an appetizer with you guys. So that's to whet our appetite and also look into the developer's world, the making of an app, get involved, do exploits, the truth, then the wrap up. So for find, we have both the developer's world and the making of an app. Then the get involved is under few. Then the third one is do exploit feast. Then we just tell ourselves some truths and then we wrap up. So, and like the moderator of this program has said, if we have questions, we can jot them down. So at the end of the session, that's after my session plus the contributions from some experienced people on this call. So then we can have a question and answer session. So I will start with the appetizer. We have 13 kinds of people that can never succeed in life. So don't mind me. I just want to provoke our each other's thoughts. Let's see what we need to avoid so that we can succeed in life. So these categories of people will never succeed in life. Number one, people who are always afraid. So cowards will never. They don't even have anything to do with success because, like an adage says, success favors the bold. So we need to always be courageous, face things, even things that are bigger than us. We should always learn to face them. Then the second one is people who are lazy. So ladies, guys, indolent guys, they can hardly make it in life because even the way this life is structured, you just have to find something doing. So the third one is people who take things for granted. So the I don't care people who are negligent, people who they are not always, they don't see things as something that they need to take with all seriousness. So people like that will always find it hard to succeed in life. Then four, people who pursue too many things. When you are chasing this, you are chasing A, B, C, you are not focused on one. You will always have issues achieving one thing. So sometimes it's better in life, just focus on something. The other ones, you can just be paraphrased. But when you are focused on a single thing, you can achieve success in that thing. Then before you now begin to, but when you are chasing too many things at the same time, you are unfocused. You can hardly succeed in one. Then people who don't plan, some people just, the anyhow people or the disorganized people, they believe that, okay, this is what we want to do. Okay, let's just do it. No, without proper planning, without you saying, okay, how do I strategize? How do we do this? What will it cost me? People like that, is this even at the time that they were supposed to succeed, just one thing that they never planned for will just affect them, and then the whole thing will turn to failure. So then the other one is people who don't read books. In fact, one of the most dangerous people in the world are people who don't read. So they are unlearned. And, even in this world, as we all know, you just have to keep improving yourself, increasing your knowledge, increasing your understanding of different things. Because if you don't try to have knowledge of many things, you will always pay for ignorance. Ignorance is something that is very expensive. You just see that you kept on paying for that thing that you are ignorant of every now and then. So sometimes it's very good that one of the roadmaps to success is you trying to research, you trying to equip yourself to be knowledgeable in different things, especially things that surrounds you or things that you know that you likely need the knowledge of that thing for you to succeed. People who have not discovered their purpose in life, like someone said, when the purpose of something is unknown, abuse is inevitable. That is by Miles Monroe. So, people live their life by default instead of by design. They were born, they know that, okay, this and that, okay, we do it this way. They've not even discovered themselves. They don't even know why they are existing. They don't even know the reason for their existence in this world. So, as someone who wants to succeed in life, we need to ensure that we discover our purpose. We know where we are heading to. So, people who don't learn from mistakes and failures. Somebody said, insanity is when you keep on repeating the same thing over and over again. You are expecting a different result. It can't just work. So most of the time, you hardly even learn from success. You learn from failure. So most of the time, when something happens to you and you see that this thing is unpalatable or it is a failure on your part, you just have to learn from that thing. Just learn so that you don't repeat history, you don't repeat that mistake again. Then 9, people who quit easily. Sometimes you are going to maybe, let's say, just take for example precious metals. For you to be able to get to those places where those metals are, you have to dig very deep. So if you dig down to a particular length and then you say, well, I'm giving up, I cannot do this, that means you might be able to get to where those treasures are. So most of the time, for you to succeed in life, you need to keep on doing that thing. Just keep on doing it. Just keep trying till you succeed. Then 10, people who procrastinate on serious people, what you are supposed to do, you keep on pushing it to tomorrow, keep on, okay, I will do it. And most of the time, the problem there is that you see that you can never find the time to do that thing. So that is why most of the time, the best way to succeed in life is that journey that will take you to success, just start it. You don't need to even be considering too many, just start. And then by the time you start, then you find yourself just moving forward. Then the other one is people whose mind are never made up. They are people who have a kind of mind that is undetermined. You are trying to, every time to make a decision is always very hard for you. You are just always having a lot of doubt and your heart is always wavering here and there. Then the other one is people who don't try out new things. Those are the stereotype people who are always afraid to take risk, to do new things. They will always be like, this is how we have been doing it. We keep on doing it that way. No, you just have to try out new things because that is the only way you can succeed. There are some things that if you don't change it, if you don't try the other way out or the alternative to that thing, you might find it hard to succeed in that. And then the last one is people who don't get involved. So like someone said there are 3 kinds of people in the world: people who make things happen, people who watch things happen, and people who don't even know what is happening at all. So most of the time we choose where we belong ourselves. So it's better you belong to the makers, the people, the doers, people who don't just be watching people do that thing. You are hearing that this thing is trending and you know that people are making success out of it, they are achieving a lot out of it. You to get involved. So so these are the 13 kinds of people that can never succeed in life. I'm praying that we'll never be one in Jesus' name. So I believe that let me just use the word like blessed. I believe that we have been blessed with this. So we just move straight to the content of what we have for us today, and that is your space in software development. Find, feel, and feast. So the developer's word, like I said, we have different outlines. We have different things that we are going to cover in this presentation. The developer's word, the making of an app, get involved, then feel, and all let me repeat the outline again so that we can go through it. So developer's word, the making of an app, get involved, do exploits, then the truth, and then wrap up. So I'll just go now to the developer's word. So who is a developer? A developer is someone who solves problems by designing and creating software applications. So, so in all, we can say that developers are problem solvers. So they imagine, there are problems in this world and they try to solve those problems by creating a software around it. So, there are different ways by which you can solve a problem. But when you are solving a problem from the software part, from software application perspective, then it actually means that you are doing the work of a developer. That is a software developer. So I believe that some of us are familiar with console.log for those that are maybe writing JavaScript or those that understand doing some things on their developer console on the browser. So in all, we are talking about developers, and I believe that all of us here, we are either a prospective developer or we are already developing, meaning that we are an already made developer, or we are still trying to peep. So I'm believing that by the end of this session, we should be able to know our footing, where we belong. So that is just who a developer is. And then at a glance, we can divide a developer into 2 parts, or those that does that work of development. They are actually in 2 parts. We have front-end developers and we have back-end developers. So for front-end, we can further divide them into 2. We have those that are into web and those that are into mobile. They are also front-end developers. And then the back-end developer is also there. Then when you have these 2 skills, you are both a front-end person and also a back-end person, you can be referred to as a full-stack developer. Yeah, so then we have testers, we have also DevOps. You can see that if we consider this as a circle that combines developers and backend together, then there are some people at the edge of that circle called testers and DevOps, meaning that whatever you do, they are waiting for you to give them whatever you have done so that they can further process it. So for a tester is looking at how he can spoil your work. So let me just use that language. They're looking for bugs, they're looking for issues that your application might have when it gets to production. Then a DevOps person is saying, okay, this application has been tested, that's a high quality, though there's no application that is bug free, but at least we have actually catered for, at least humanly speaking, we have done our best. Okay, so let me take this to production, or let me take this to a testing environment for people concerned to be able to test. So a DevOps person, his own work is to develop pipelines for deployment of your work. So that means the two people, that is testers and DevOps people, they work together with developers to ensure that the application gets to production or to a testing environment. So then proceeding on that, we can look into the journey. As a developer, there are different layers, or let me say stratas. So most of the time, in our present time, things have become well structured, unlike 5 or let me say unlike 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago. But in recent times, like 5 years ago now, I think a lot of structures have started coming up, and we are, at least things are getting better in terms of the journey as a developer. So you can actually start as an intern, meaning you are a beginner, at least you've learned something, at least you have been doing something for like, is somebody raising his hand? Hello? Hello, Brian.
Hello,
Sorry,
sorry. Let's save question till when it's done, please. So that you can write it down.
Okay, maybe at intervals, and I want to get the response of people, I mean our attention, if we are actually following, if I'm not too fast or if I'm not mixing things up. So are we together? If I can get maybe like a response for 1 or 2 persons, are we together? Are we following?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so now if you look at this part, we are talking about an intern that is between 1 year and 2 years, then junior developer 2 to 3 years, then mid-level, or you call it intermediate developer 3 to 5 years, then senior developer 5 years and above. Then software architects, to me, is like the peak of the whole career. As a developer, your career journey, I think the peak of it, the climax of this is becoming a software architect, where you have that capacity to lead a team, a whole tech team, even becoming an engineering manager, head of engineering, like we have in many organizations, or even getting to become a CTO. A CTO is also like a CEO. Even today now, like in business now, and if you want to start a tech startup, or you want to start a business that is tech oriented, they always advise you, people who are business developers, business coach, and like, they will tell you that you should always have a co-founder that will serve the purpose of a CTO for you, especially because of technical decisions and something. So at the end of the day, a CTO is like someone who will be able to at least take charge of anything technical in that organization. So that is the peak of our career, actually. So CTO, and most of the time they are always mostly co-founders, so they are mostly like CTO or CEO. So so that is why as a developer, you must always ensure that before you become a software architect, just ensure that you get everything right, so that because a whole lot of things are with you there. So if you look at the other side, you see that I have something called knowledge, and then it trickles down to experience. So what happens there is that as you go down this lane or this journey, as you go from intern down to a software architect, you see that it's not going to be like your knowledge. Sorry, I'm supposed to even have another arrow shooting up. So your knowledge is increasing, but most of the time, what differentiates you from others is your experience. So experience is something like you already know what does not work. You know pitfalls to avoid. You know failures. You know a lot of things. So most of the time, sometimes you might even be having issues being able to differentiate perfectly between knowledge and experience. Knowledge now, you can read a lot of things. You can research. You can watch videos. You can do everything. But there are some things that those kind of knowledge gathering will not give you. And that is what experience will do. And that is, you have, at least face to face, you have seen. I remember there was a time we developers were just talking, and some people were talking about some of the things they did, like somebody dropping a live DB. What I mean by live database. Just take for example, now you are working in let's say maybe a GT Bank, and the database that houses the account number of everybody, you just go there and drop it. Drop it means that you delete that thing. That means the whole thing is gone. So, and that thing now, it means that you need a lot of experience to be able to manage things like that. So that's why as you go down, as you increase in your career, you begin to gain more experience. And then your knowledge also keeps increasing, because at a particular time, there's some experience that you have that it will add to your knowledge that, oh, this is how this thing should be done. This is what, this is not, this, we should not do it this way, we should do it that way. So these are some of the things that we need to put in mind. And then this years I put, they might be, let me say, there are a lot of variants here. So, but this is just the average that I can put together out there. So junior developer, senior, intermediate, intern. Okay, so let's proceed. No, there's some things I want us to know. So, we are still dealing with the part of fine now. So now, a front-end developer now, how does that person, how will he, what do you need to know for you to say you want to become a front-end or a back-end developer? So for front-end, you need to be fast in HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then you can now move to React, Vue, Angular. So let me say something about this. Like 10, 20 years ago now, this structure now never existed. So, but now today, things have changed in the tech world. So you see that before now, people be talking about HTML, CSS, but HTML, CSS is not even enough to build an application that is scalable or in an organization. So that's why when you see job adverts, you are not even seeing HTML, CSS, JavaScript, you are seeing React, you are seeing Vue, you are seeing Angular. That's the reason is because a lot has changed in the web. Because I remember then when we started, when I started back then, when I started learning, I think around 9 years ago when I started, I learned HTML, I learned CSS, I was starting like React then. So we're using it to write application, we're doing serious this thing. But then it's not easy, but it was not easy rather. But these days, because of React, Vue, and Angular, things have become well structured, and a whole lot of things can now happen, unlike before that. Sometimes you need to struggle to implement some things. So now for mobile too, and also mobile to also have its own history too. When the issue of mobile thing started, then it started with the likes of Java for Android, Swift for iOS, and co. But when business people came, they started looking at that. How can we begin to employ an iOS person, somebody that will come and write application for iOS, employ another mobile guy that will write for Android. So a lot of things, as you can see, I didn't even list Android, Java for Android, and Swift for iOS here, because in recent time, most startups, because of that business mind, they go for just a single developer that will write a code that will be deployable on iOS and also on Android. So that's where React Native and Flutter is making waves. So as a person who wants to dabble into mobile development, you must also, so if you look at the top for web, you see that HTML, CSS, JavaScript is bolded, meaning that it's in bold format. But for mobile, I didn't bold HTML, CSS, I just bolded JavaScript. So that's for you to know the difference, in terms of emphasis. So if you are going to be a web guy, emphasis is very much on HTML, CSS, JavaScript, so that by the time you start React and Vue and Angular, you will be able to understand it very, very well, and then you can write different applications. But for mobile, you might not necessarily even be so much an HTML or CSS person, but your JavaScript must be very strong. Then you can just then begin to write, because in React Native already have its own framework. All these things are frameworks. They already have their own pattern. So most of the time, what you just need to do is that you can just glance through HTML, CSS, then, but you must be rooted in your JavaScript. So then you can then begin to build different UI. Then for Flutter, you don't even need HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Just go and learn that, and then you can get it, because that is the language that is being used to code in Flutter. Then moving down to backend. So backend. So I would not want to explain the difference between the two. Front end is just what you can see. Back end is behind the scene. So I believe that at least we can relate with that. And if there are questions coming from that, I think a lot of people are here that can give more clarity and more better understanding. But some people always give you the example of you sitting down to collect food. The people that are serving you, they are taking it from the back end to you. So there's an explanation around that. Then for back end, we have what we call JavaScript. We have Java. We have C#, we have PHP. So I listed this. So now, you know what I try to do? For me now, in these days now, we need to begin to tell ourselves the truth. And telling ourselves the truth means that you cannot just say, I want to be learning any language like that. Unlike before that, you can go and learn VB.NET, you can go and learn Perl, you can go and learn Julia, Scala. You know, those languages are many there like that. All different languages like that. But the question you see is that what is the marketability of those languages? What is the business or else the job opportunity for those languages? So that is why in a session like this, we don't need to beat about the bush. Those languages, you can actually get into them for exploration, or when you see that it's actually needed in your organization, or specifically for a particular role. For example, I didn't mention Python here. There are actually some organizations that uses Python for backend, but it's not that common in our days because talking about enterprise application and all this fintech together with different tech stuff. So a lot is now hovering around JavaScript, Java, C#, PHP. Yes. So for JavaScript now, the pattern is just learn your JavaScript. So if you are not going to be a front-end developer, then there's no need of dabbling into React Native, and co. Just go to Node and then go to Express or Nest. So Express or Nest, they are the two most used frameworks out there for backend now in terms of JavaScript. So then there are some other platform too for JavaScript for backend. We have Dino, the one that came out recently. Then we have Bond, but Node happens to be like the most used and it's even at the top in terms of backend for JavaScript. So you can learn Express, you can learn Nest. Then for Java, Spring Boot, of course. Then C#, ASP.NET, then PHP. I think Laravel is, there is also Code Igniter, but I think Laravel has, I think it's very much popular now because of a whole lot of things. Because even before, you know, the issue is that with all these things, that a lot of history before now, there was nothing like even front end back end. Everybody is just writing it together as a monolithic application. But in the present time, we are now in the era of microservices, whereby you just build APIs and then somebody out there consume your API. So because of that now, so all those frameworks then that are more coupled with HTML, whereby you'll be writing HTML inside the PHP, writing HTML, so those errors are they are going down. Though there's some legacy code out there, especially in banks and code that they'll be telling you don't touch it. Or if you touch it, like everything just will just crash. So I think there's applications that are still powered in that way. But in a recent time, so a whole lot of things are going via microservice, whereby just write API and then the front end person knows how to deal with that. So we have all these ones, and so even with this too, you also need to be very vast. Sometimes, for example, especially Java and C# now, you see that most startups might not be tilting towards this because of the people that write this particular, they are not as much as JavaScript and PHP. So some startup might decide to go with PHP, but many startups that are looking at scalability and everything want to tilt towards Node. So then inside some applications, some people are also going towards Go. There's another one called Golang. But one thing there is that just know your word, know the developer's word, know what is trending, know what is going on, so that you can switch. I remember one of my friends, we worked together in internship. He was writing C#, now he's writing Node. So he quickly made a switch sharp because he knows that you cannot just stay on one language, just keep learning and enhance your skills and begin to expand. So then for testers, quality assurance engineers, people who test your applications. So actually there are two types of testing. We have manual and automated. So for manual, you are just dealing with browser and Postman, so all those ones. And sometimes when you want to get job, they'll be asking you, they might not even bother you with manual testing. They'll just tell you about, do you know about regression? Do you know about Cucumber, Selenium, Appium, Cypress, and Co. So do you know database query? Because you are testing the backend API. The backend API is collecting username and password. And you just fire it on Postman. You say you have tested. No, you have not tested. You don't know if the person is actually just coding the result of the API code. So some testers requires to go down to the database to go and check this thing that this person has built. Is it getting to the database actually? So these are some of the things around testing.
And then DevOps too, they are the people who deploys our application. There are a lot of, and even today too. So there are some of these roles that were not there before, like 10, 20 years ago. But now, because of the way software is being structured, software world is being structured, so there are now many roles coming on board. In fact, if it's even more than this, there are some people they call DevRel, developers relations. There is people who write technical documentations. I didn't even put them there. They're also there like that. But only that those kind of roles, they are on demand. They are not like the front end, back end testers and developers that is all out there. So, but some companies will specially release out job opportunity for technical writer, people that will be doing technical documentation, people that will be doing DevRel, developers relation, and some other stuff to attach to development work. So for DevOps, we have different things they do. They develop CI/CD, that is continuous integration and continuous development pipeline, Jenkins, Pinnacle, and Go. So as someone who wants to get into development as a developer, it's not compulsory that you write code. I mean, full code. It's not that they don't write code. For testers to write code, especially regression, whereby you'll be writing regression, so that if somebody changes the application, it will not break. So DevOps too, they do a lot of configuration, not necessarily directly like code like that, but they do a lot of configuration. So if you are not going to be doing front end, back end, you can still dabble into testing people's applications. You can also dabble into deploying people's applications. That's DevOps. And to become a DevOps, you can even start with hosting applications. Like, for people now that wants to host a website now, people will know about Google Host and some other local hosting services like that. At least know how to do it. And then you can also go and buy yourself $3 virtual private, interact with those virtual private, set it up yourself. You can start learning how to work with Linux, Ubuntu, and Co. Then you can move to cloud, go and learn about AWS. You can get even certification. You can get your. If you are not even getting your code, go on YouTube, just type that. How can I start AWS as a beginner? You see tutorial videos on that, and then you start one after. And you have free version that you can use to learn on AWS and Co. So then Docker too is also there. Then and the lights. So at a glance too, you can see there are different tools. At least know about GitHub, Bitbucket, and Co. Then know about all the Jenkins and Co. and what I've said so far. Then Grafana, SonarQube, and Co. So that is for someone who wants to dabble into DevOps. And there's something very peculiar about DevOps. Something about it is that once you start and then you are in an organization, you always have time to grow, because most of the time, once you create a pipeline, developers are always deploying through that your pipeline. It's when they want to create a new product that your work will be much needed. So most of the things you'll be doing is just to be maintaining and grow. So it's something that you can always have time to grow your skills in terms of DevOps. So DevOps is actually a combination of development and operations. So that's what they did. So it's not anything, something, just trying to combine your different. So you can see it at a glance also here. Sorry, the image is not that sharp. So you can see. So that's just what they are into, or development and operations. So they just ensure that there's a pipeline through which your application gets to an environment that can be testable. Okay, so now the making of an app now. So I think it's very imperative for us to also know about how applications get like starting an application, the starting process of an application down to when the application is being built actually and when it is now live in production. So we are still in the process of finding discovery, so I'm actually taking us on a journey. So looking at the breakdown now, there's something called the BRD document, business requirement document. So what happens behind the scene for BRD, we don't need to bother ourselves about. The business guys, the intelligent guys, the analysts and the likes, they know what, the marketers and who they know what and what happens for them to get out a BRD for an application that needs to be built. Then after that, the second part is user stories. The people that are into Agile, product guys, product managers and owners, they know about all this. And then when they have user stories too, at least they know that, before they even come to engineering, they need to go and meet UI UX designers to build a prototype. So these three things I mentioned too, there are also jobs there too. Let me just skip the business requirements. User stories now. We can talk about Scrum stuff. We can talk about Scrum Masters, talk about product owners, product managers, and co. So, and I remember in the youth camp, there are people who are into non-coding who were segregated to actually deal with this. So then developers too are the ones that actually deal with the real coding. So now, in between the mix too, we have people who develop prototypes too. Also, before, this role of a UI UX designer was never in place. In fact, what we had then was graphic designers. And even graphic designers, there's nothing that concerns them with software development. So then, I think what most of the things they do then is more of sketches and just knowing what to do. So, and you see that then the UI that we have in those days, 10 years, 20 years ago, they are mostly like, how do I describe them? You just see it as just normal something. But these days now, you see serious designs. You see some websites, some applications, and you like them. You see how beautiful they are, and even the colors and the lights, because there is someone who has done a prototype, and then the developer knows what to do with those prototypes. So then from there, we can now talk about technical documentation. So my technical documentation will just involving you getting an architectural flow diagram or a process flow diagram for what needs to be built. For example, now let's say maybe you want to build an application where you want to, maybe the application is, maybe you want to send money, you want to be able to send money from here to Kenya. So Kenya. So that means you must have an architecture, okay, to before go through, maybe you know that there is an intermediary that you can use. Maybe First Bank says they are acting as a middleman to process any transaction that can be delivered as Kenya Chinese. So what do? That means you have to draw an architecture that you know that, okay, you have to call First Bank API, then First Bank API will call something to deliver this. So you just have to write out the process. Okay, when you call it, I have to get a feedback, store it in my database, do all those sort of things like that. So that is what technical documentation, architectural stuff is all about. So then down to API, UI, then you build your UI, you do every code. So this, the API and UI is where the real coding happens. Then after which testing will happen, the application will be tested, and once it's fine, then at least can go to production. So for testing too, you know, they cannot test on your local box, I mean your laptop. So that means you need to deploy to an environment. So the DevOps guys will also be involved in deploying directly to a test environment, and tester picks it up, and then your product is out and it's live. So that's it. So when you see a GT Bank app, or you are using an application, or even youth.efnwebcard.com and all the applications that you must have interacted with, just know that one way or the other, they must have touched on this. There's some applications that might not miss all these ceremonies actually, but in an organization, for you to have something that is that flows or that is consistent, you might need to go through this. Otherwise, you might be having back and forth. You know, you have situations whereby you a front-end guy will develop an application, and then when they are reviewing, they say, hey, the color should be blue. There will not be back and forth. And that thing could have been avoided with just a prototype. The prototype can be out in 2 or 3 days, and then once it is approved, that's the end. So a whole lot of things have become easier, unlike before, that you want to do a work for a client. You can't be claiming, say, hey, but this thing is supposed to be blue. There's not supposed to be a button here now, all those kind of, but all those errors have gone now, because just get the prototype out, give it to the client. Client, do you agree with this? Right, this is what we are building. After this, so there's nothing, no, if you want to add more features, we can do it, but to come with the cost. So that's just how it is. And then we move to get involved. So now we are done with find. I believe that with all what I've explained so far, you should have started having a kind of rumination over where you can fit in, where you can actually belong to. We have talked about developers, talk about testers, QAs, and what they do, what you need to learn, what you need to get started with. So now the question is that now you now need to get involved. You have known how everything is now. You have known about the developers, or you have known about how an application can be made. Now, what is the next step? The next step is go and do it. Go and get involved. Bring out your laptop, just begin to do something, and then you begin to see results. Okay, so now you have to start with learning. You just have to learn, yeah, because this field is not even directly like an artisan stuff, all this apprenticeship stuff. So this one is more rooted in knowledge, and where it is even very dangerous is that if you start the learning and you leave it for like a month or 2 months, by the time you come back, you even see that it's already ahead of you. So the tech world is so dynamic and very flexible. So there are some frameworks that today you just got that they are no more using it, and you'll be surprised that but this was what you learned now, and that's just how it is. So that's why even all through your career, you keep on learning. That's what the field entails. So now you have to at least feed yourself with different online courses. So these days, you see that I even put training down, because you know there will be a whole lot of things now. And one of the things I always look at when it comes to learning is that if you are the type that at least you went to secondary school, you went to university, you studied a particular course, and you were able to learn those courses, and you got it, you knew those courses. So it means that you can actually learn these things. So it's not something difficult. The only issue with it is that you have to be consistent with your learning. Don't learn today and drop it tomorrow. So we have courses you can also buy, and even on EFM developers group, you see different posts that has to do with courses that you can download and learn. Then we have YouTube articles books that you can also get. We have YouTube tutorials. We have a lot of things that you can actually. And when you want to deal with YouTube, like somebody like me now, I think one of the things that makes YouTube easier is that just be specific about what you want to learn and just type in maybe beginner stuff, and then you see that whatever you are getting to watch is something that addresses your curiosity, your concern. So that's what it is. Then bootcamp too. This model was very much hot cake in those days. Was trending then, I think like 2-3 years ago. But now, like Andela Zone, I don't know their state now, but I know HNG is some the hotel HNG. They are the one in charge of this bootcamp. I think that one is active. Then Decagon Training too. Decagon Training too looks like a fake boot camp actually. So we have others too, and then I think a lot of mentors here too. They know a lot of them that you can use to guide us. But most importantly, you must always know that your book, your article, your YouTube, and some other materials that you have to yourself will do a lot in making you to understand some of this. And then this thing is not just like mathematics. When you are you can't read mathematics, you just have to be writing, solving it, working the calculations out. So this project too is also something that you have to this old learning of these things, you have to involve yourself in personal pet projects like to-do list, blog, calculator, e-commerce website, and so on. So that one, you'll be able to have them in your GitHub repository, and then you can even add it to your CV. Then it will also make you to learn. At least you are learning how to write code. So you have to deal with a project. So that's that. Then apply for internship. Don't forget that we are saying get involved. You apply for internship. So like the other time when I was talking about the journey, if you are a beginner, then you must always have a focus that one day you become an intern. So now you need to be online, active online, at least then join tech communities. You will see different opportunities that will be coming. And we need interns and go. Then many of the interns will be free. Don't say that because it's free. Apply, because at this point, in fact, for internship, that's what you need is that you also want to grow your career. So internship must be something that you should not play with. Then do volunteers projects. Yes, there are some volunteers. Somebody might say, I have a gig, I want developers that but it's not paid. Join. Don't say that it doesn't have money. Join. Just begin to get your hand dirty with code. So that's even in the church too. We also have a YDD tech team, and what we do there, we're also volunteers too. All of us are there, we are writing code. And it's also a place that one can join and get involved in volunteer projects that will grow your skills. So that's that. Then grab side gig. You see the language called gig here and there. That's a developer's word for you. So what you need to have in mind is that you must have this mindset that you can do anything. So don't see yourself that I'm still learning. No, be confident. That gig that somebody say you just want to build an application that we connect to a bank and debits a customer and go. Just grab it. So there is an opportunity for you to still collaborate with other developers to deliver that solution. You can also, then when you want to charge, don't charge at a high price. Yes, we know that, okay, if you want to build an application, it might cost you $500,000, $1 million. But you know that you need this thing for you to grow your skill, one. Then for you to also increase your confidence too, at least to actually convince any employer that yes, you have involved yourself in live projects, in big projects. So just do it. And sometimes you cannot do it alone. You understand? Yes, you know that you might need to collaborate. You might even be a front-end developer. You understand? So it means that collaborate with a back-end person. Tell the back-end person, please, I'll build the front end, you build the back-end. And so let us quickly do this work. The work is 50,000, it's 100,000. It's too small, but let's still do it. You understand? So it will help you. It will not get to a time that it's not as if that you should carry yourself cheap, because we are in a time that tech is not like the new oil. So everybody knows that now. So, but one way or the other, if you are still within the internship, just try your best to ensure that no gig passes you by. Just grab it, try your best. So you might fail the first time or second time, but just keep trying, and then you get it right later. Then apply to companies. I'm just taking it one after the other. I'm believing that by the time you get to stages of applying to big companies, then you must have prepared your CV to look at, yes, your CV. So then in CV, to look for you to prepare your CV. All what you done is that no matter whatever CV you have, in tech world now, it's not as if that we follow too many structures and ceremonies about CV like HR. But one thing you must have in mind is that your CV should look techy such that the skills you have, the JavaScript you can write, the HTML you can write, them must be there. Then the project you have worked on, put it in your CV. Then there are some project that you might not be able to do because it actually belongs to a client. You can put the link. Then if the client says he doesn't want his work to be public, you can mention it that you worked on this social application. You might not mention the name of the site, just mention that you worked on the food application, so and so on. Then learn algorithm and data structure. Always be visiting lead code, Akaran and go, because by the time you want to go for an interview in those companies, that is what they are going to use to bombard you. So that's it. I remember my own case when I wanted to join interviews. If our own was that they just gave us paper, they said they just give us, and they said we should even not use a built-in function. At least for developers that have writing code, we understand what I'm talking about. So they wanted to use first principle. They were telling us to rotate an array, to do something, to do. They just compounded the question, and there was not even laptop. We had to write it on papers. So you must also be skillful in algorithm and data structures. So then also, or if you are working on your laptop and all your project and your laptop, you are wrong. I'm talking about somebody who is a potential developer or somebody who wants to start applying to companies. Go and create a GitHub repository or Bitbucket repository. Go and be pushing your project there. Because those those public repositories are the things that will help you to convince your employers. Because most of the time, some employers will say, okay, how many projects have you worked on? You are not listing the project you did for clients. You are also mentioning your own personal project that you have done. Then also have clients to your Excel, like what I mentioned earlier, so and so on. So by the time you are applying to companies here and there, you see that after, though you might fail the first one, second, but you see that because you are well packaged, you one will just enter one way or the other. Then join a talent network platform. So I'm just taking it bit by because I believe that I'm taking it from in terms of an intern to somebody that may be junior or intermediate. Then by the time you are now approaching, even as an intermediate developer, or you are already started coding, you have been in a company for maybe 6 months, 7 years. You are not supposed to 7 months. You are not supposed to just sit down there like that. Join a network platform. You have 3 years and above. 3 years above or so 5 years above experience in coding. The question is, why are you not on the different talent network platforms we have? There is Turing there is Andela, there is Crossover, there is Work4, there is Mission and Go. So you're supposed to be there. This is why you're supposed to be there. It's not compulsory actually, but this is why you're supposed to be there is that one, we are technology, or let me say development, software development is now the new oil. And you know these abroad people. Somebody, I remember that was it not 2019? Somebody was said the job that is currently in the world now, and the developers available are not even enough for these jobs. So those abroad guys, those white guys, it's like they invaded the whole country. They invaded a lot of countries and they were just sucking talent out of those countries just to come and write code. So that's why you see the likes of Turing. Turing now you can be in Nigeria like this and be working for a company. Because what they do is that they just match you. Once you are matched like this, that's the end now. Then you begin to collect your dollars. So you have experience now. There's nothing difficult in some of the things they are doing. Exactly. Most of the time, they give you a tax, and you see like the tax that in most of Nigerian companies, you will be like, they will be bombarding you, but they are on now cheap tax, and then you give and you collect some. So it means that in the way of growing your career, you can also get involved. Then it also gives you some international reputations because you get to work with white guys, work with different senior guys out there, and at least talents out there. So at least in the whole journey, you can try your best. You can just go and join work. In fact, sometimes you might even fail the thing to get to the end. But since you have joined, at least you can keep trying till sometimes you even join to the end and they are here to match you. Sometimes it might take a year to even match you. By the time it might take 6 months. So, but it's something that at least as a developer you can add to your destiny, because one, at least in terms of financial status, is going to change it. There is no way. So that's it. And then I always see every developer as a potential startup owner. What am I saying? Now, if you are the type that you are business oriented, meaning that apart from your technical skills, you still love business, you still love you doing your own thing. The question is, why have you not started why have you not started your own startup? So it means that you as a developer, you have the power to conceptualize an idea. And then you crystallize that idea by what? By just coding it out. That is it. And if you cannot do it alone, at least you have friends that are developers. Call them. I have this idea. I will do the back end, you do the front. I will do the front, you do the back end. Okay, let's collaborate. We go right the front end, go right. So, and then you get it out. The only issue you might have is how to market it. And later, as you begin to say, so that's what a lot of startups are even doing. Some of them, they just conceptualize an idea, they get who can build it, and then they begin to look for investors. That's the end. So these are some of the things that developers, as you are gaining gaining those experiences. Don't just keep it like that. Use it to also solve a problem. There are some problems today that it's only technology. Look at security issues we have in Nigeria. The question is, somebody might be able to conceptualize a technology that might solve it. Look at maybe the issue of transportation. Look at the issue of agriculture. A lot of applications on Android and might even be to solve some of these problems. So you just be creative as a developer. As you gain more experience, be creative, do something, and then it may at least look at all the likes of InterSwitch, Vendis. Okay, look at these Vendis now. You know what happened to Vendis? This company, Vendis. What they did was that 4 people, they were always going to a restaurant to buy food. So the next guy that restaurant wanted to collapse, and they were like, restaurant, what is the problem? They said they don't have raw material supply, that they don't have food supply, and they were like, so that was how a startup came up. They're like, okay, what do we need to do? You know, the power of connected economy. Okay, we can use technology to connect food vendors, raw material, farmers, and go to restaurants and hotels, and be supplying them this food stuff and raw materials. And that was how they started. And they know that for them to do it, they need to build an application so that the restaurant will can just make an order, they will receive the order, process it, and they get it down to them. And that was how a startup started. That's how Veggie started. So we too, in our own corner too, we can look at the problem. This is a problem and be okay, let's look for a way of solving the problem. We need an application to solve this. And then boom, then we solve it. So a whole lot of things we can do. Okay, look at even our car meeting now. At least we buy tickets for us to buy food. Why can't we make it e-tickets where we can just deploy one solution that people can convert their naira to that e-ticket? And so a whole lot of things are there that we can still. So look at even the church. Look at how we send reports. Look at even when somebody wants to apply for something in the church, say marriage or whatever. So there is a whole lot of solutions out there that we can build to solve a particular problem. So that's just to provoke our thought actually. So then we have these do exploits. So now we are getting to a part that is somehow very interesting now. So we believe that now you have been able to fill that space that you discovered, that you found. Now you need to start feasting. You need to start getting, doing something, get your hands dirty, doing one or two things. So then you also need some guidelines on, for example, now let's say maybe you have applied to a company. Now you're a developer with this company. You're a developer with maybe Softcom. You're a developer with Google, you're a developer with Facebook and Co. You're writing code. What are some of the things you need to ensure? Because you've got to do exploit. So one, be hardworking. So that one is a given because a developer is not someone that is lazy. Because even that you even sit down behind your laptop and you are writing code, it's a whole lot of things. So you've got to be up and doing. Then you must enjoy what you do. That's something that is sacrosanct to you as a developer. Because if you don't enjoy it, then you have to have a rethink of it. Then deliver quality work. That one is good. And to deliver quality work means that don't bother yourself with too many features. You are building an application. You look at our WhatsApp today. Now, when WhatsApp came out, version 1, you could not call. All many of the things we are doing today now with WhatsApp, we could not do it. There was nothing like status and the likes. And the reason why that one is good is that it will help you to deal with small things and then you can ensure quality. Then you can deliver a solution that is you can't deliver a solution that is totally bug-free. Yeah, you must also have this in mind because you know there are some people that they are perfectionists. Yes, being a perfectionist is very good, but you must be wise. And in the software world, you must know this, that there is no application that is totally bug-free. No. There will always be one. Look at the Facebook issue. Some years back, is it like 3 or 4 or 5 years ago now? It was whether Facebook was even saving users' password in plain text. They were saving it directly in the DP. You can imagine, and that is not the best practice. If you are saving a password, if you are collecting users' data anywhere in an application, now the password needs to be hashed. You are in more like a kind of one-way encryption. So that if the database get compromised, at least nobody will still have access to the password. They will just be seeing password, they can now use it, so and so on. So it means that even top organization can even produce an application that even has bug or has some issues, and later they will find out and they fix it. Just always know that even something on production can be fixed. So that you don't just kill yourself that this thing must be perfect before we go to production. No, just do your best and then move on. Then collaborate more. As a developer, you cannot survive as a lone ranger. You are a new developer in an organization. You just have to meet with people, collaborate with them, ask questions. If you don't know something, ask them. Then attend meetups and tech conferences. Development work is something that can never be done in isolation. If I want powers, it is in software development that somebody will do something, and the people will be telling you that we can release solutions that will improve this thing for you. and they are ready to give free of cost. So that's it. So, for example, a framework can come out today now. That framework, you see that somebody in the community will pick it up and begin to do something that wants to make that framework to look very strong. So a whole lot of things happen. So that's why the power behind software development is even the community itself. So always deliver your work on time. Then, like I said earlier, don't pack too many features. Software itself is evolutionary. There should always be version 1, version 2, version 3. So that at least then in sprint planning, don't go and be don't go and be giving unrealistic small story points for people that practice agile in their companies. So try as much as possible to add some uncertainties, some factors, anything can happen. Then you communicate when there are blockers. Then you learn new frameworks to expand your skills. Then be smart. Be smart means that, just be smart. Sometimes when you are in a place and you see that this place is not helping your career, the person is to move. As a developer, you have that power. Just change the job. Don't move to another way or move on. And so many things like that. So just anything you are doing, just ensure that you are doing it and you are following best practices. So, and that's going to help. Then don't overwork yourself. Sometimes you write code, you still write it. The same organization you're working for, you are still taking it. I work down to weekends and code. No. And sometimes you might have to take some time to relax your brain, to relax yourself. Then avoid abandoned projects. And sometimes you start the project, saying you jump to another one. Again, you don't have many unfinished projects. No, just ensure that when you start something, anytime you want to start a project, make sure that the features you are working on are features that can be deployed, deployable features that user can start using. Then later you can begin to add more features to even after the other. So that is that. And then let's go to truth. So there's some truth we need to tell ourselves. Though I would have involved us in this, but I believe that at the end of this session, at the end of my own talk, I think other people will contribute. But the truth I want to give out is that job did this thing. What I mean by job did this is that if there is something that has really solved unemployment issue in Nigeria or anywhere in the world, is this tech. Imagine if there was nothing like tech. I believe a lot of us only God knows what one will be doing. So, and for somebody like me now, I even studied metallurgical and materials engineering, but I moved to tech, I moved to software development. So what happened is that because of the different things that happen there, so all those fields that were, whether agriculture, whether construction, whether medical, they now need technology to scale. They now need technology to reach or to even do something outstanding at the end of the day. So it means that there will always be job to build applications. Then money did this thing. Yes, people that are already there knows that there is money there. So it means that as someone who wants to dabble into tech, you should know that you're not dabbling into something that at the end of the day does not have something meaningful out of it. At least it costs money. Then there is comfort in it. I mean, people can say that a lot of developers work from home these days. Yes, so people a lot. In fact, even after COVID-19 2020, a lot of companies, in fact, it was just like a kind of paradigm shift. A lot of companies are now running hybrid or full remote. So, and most even companies that are running hybrid, you see that developers are always at home writing code. So it means we are going to a time whereby just be sleeping, wake up, open your laptop, observe morning prayer, open your laptop, write code. You can still go and eat. You are not bothered about traffic and code. You just live a comfortable life. So I think a lot of things have started changing now because developer is not as if that we have the world in our hands. That's why you see a developer like this now. He's working with a company in Lagos now. Just like, I need to travel to see my parents. He might not even apply for leave. He just carries his laptop, go, and then he's working from there as long as there is internet and light. So that thing is there. Then there is joy in it. Sometimes when you deploy an application and you see that many users are using it, you are happy. You are grateful that at least your solution is what is giving people joy out there. People are using it. You are happy. You are fulfilled. Fulfillment did this thing too. Then you are impacting lives. Imagine a lot of people now that probably, let's say, look at this solution around the unbanked people. That you can still save money. At least a solution whereby you might not need the ATM card, you might not need all these bank ceremonies. People just have maybe just a wallet system. People can save money in their wallet and they use it to transact. Look at that solution. You see, that means some people in a rural area can still join this thing without even getting involved in all the banking ceremonies. So there's a whole lot of things there that you can use to impact lives, and that thing I think it makes it more significant and beautiful. Then relocation, at least people say Japan, we are in the Japan time now. The easiest way to jump out of this country is through tech. We must know that one. Yes, there are other means, but it's easier for tech because you can easily just apply. In fact, all these tech platforms that the talent network I said, some people apply. There's some of those network platforms that whenever they are recruiting developers from Nigeria, it comes with relocation. So all those things are out there. At least I have some friends now that they've traveled outside. At least traveled because of this tech thing. So then job change did this thing. Yes, developers work is like, if you're in an organization, like somebody said, they said developers are never loyal. It is in this developers thing that you see their CV, you see they spend 2 months here, they spend 3 months here, they spend 5 months here. I was talking to Brian. Brian was in one company, but he said he has moved, he has changed, he has moved to another one. So that is what happens. So with technology or with software development, it's easier for you to be changing. And even in this thing, though some people might not be able to do it, some people even do 2 jobs at the same time, as long as maybe it has 2 different time zones and so on. So that is that. Now the wrap up now. So just to tease what do I do? Maybe to provoke our thought or to actually get our hands dirty a little. I don't know, some of us that can try out this exercise. Write a function that counts the number of vowels in the word. So like an example is, let's say you have a function or a method called vowel counter, and you pass in an argument called table. Then count the vowel that is there and give out the output. So maybe before the end of this somebody can post a solution on the chat or post it on the FM developers group. So let's just try our answer. This just to relax ourselves after hearing a lot of things. Then also, I don't know, maybe I just need somebody so that the whole thing can look more packed. And okay, how will you explain database to a 5-year-old child? Can I have 2 trials from the participants? Anybody? How will you explain database to a 5-year-old child? Yes. Who wants to? I need 2 people to just talk on that. Yeah, that's before we round up. Yes.
Can I explain?
Okay, that's Brian. Brian, making you are a senior man. Now
Okay,
we want.
sorry.
Okay, so any other person? Maybe if we don't get somebody, maybe Brian, we go ahead. But I want someone else from the participants. Yes.
Okay, Brabiola Fason.
Sorry, are we together? Can I have a chorus answer? Please, can we unmute and respond? Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
My guy, I deal with you.
Okay. So now I want someone to tell us, how will you explain database to a 5-year-old?
Can I try?
Brabiola Fason has raised up his hand. I think he was the first person. Sorry, if you want to talk, let's just raise up our hand.
Okay, Brabiola Fason, yes. Okay.
Sorry, if you're not talking, please can you mute and turn off your videos, please? Thank you. All right,
Okay, good evening.
Yeah.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Okay, so I will explain the database to a 5-year-old like a drawer, and each drawer has different things in it. So they can be toy there, they can be books, so that's how that's what a database looks like. It's like a store where we keep things and we can retrieve it back from this box. Yeah.
Okay, wow, nice one. At least a child can relate with a drawer. At least maybe he has been coming to his dad's office or dad's table and he has been seeing a drawer and he has a store. Yes. I want another one.
All
yes.
right,
Let's break it
Bra
down.
Daniel,
Let's go down.
Daniel can
5
go.
years.
Daniel can go next.
Okay.
All right, I want to explain database to a 5-year-old. Okay, it looks, database is you can explain it as a box. A big box where you put toys and some other things you play with. But in this sense, it is not toys that are in the database. What is in the database is information and details of people. So in this database, people can add more information to it and people can change, like edit and all. So I guess that's how I would try to explain database.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
We didn't know something around the information you okay, yes, that's a nice trial. Okay. I think that's nice. Can we have one more before we move to the next thing?
Okay,
yes,
I think Heaven's Joy is the next person online. Please go, Heaven's Joy.
Okay, Heaven's Joy. Let's have you as the last person. Yeah.
Okay, good evening. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Good evening.
So for me to explain database to a child, I will tell the child that it's like a container or like a bag, whereby you can put your book, your textbook, your pencil, your eraser, everything will be there.
Yeah.
It can carry everything. So not necessarily telling the child as information because it will be difficult to get that. What he says is like your bag, like a container that can hold things. It can hold your book, it can hold your pencil, your eraser, everything you need in school, it can contain it. So that child will understand better. It can store it.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right.
Yes.
Sorry,
Thank you.
sorry, but Lumide, please.
Okay, sir.
I crave your indulgence. I just have a short scenario to explain it.
Okay.
All right.
Brian,
So I'll use the church benches and church pews to explain it. We know that it's in rows and columns, and of course, as ushers, if you are leading people inside, of course, you take it one by one, rows and columns. So that's how I use that to explain it to them, and also let them know that people that are entering, they are just like data. Thank you.
Wow. wow. In fact, that one even really explaining down to the columns and rows, yes, for SQL, yeah. Oh, thanks for everyone that has contributed. I think this looks very, and that means a lot of us can even take up a lot of tutorials and even explain a lot of things to upcoming developers and the others. And you know, if you can explain any programming concept to a 5-year-old person, that means if that 5-year-old person can relate to it, by the time you are explaining to an adult, that adult will just grab it at once. So I think that's a beautiful thing. So I think it is well. What we have said, I think, is something that you can easily relate with. So that's what a database is. Now let's move on to the third one. Success is moving from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. So I just want to charge us that we should just have it in mind that in this whole thing we have said, it is easier said than done. That's what I would say. So, but by the time you come to face to face with the reality, you see that it has a lot of things there. There are many times you will write code and it will not run for this. You will not be happy with yourself. There are times that you collect a client's work and then you have to return money. It happened to me. There are some times that you will write code, tester will test your code and say this one has bug and move your work to rework. So a whole lot of things and there. But you must never lose hope. Yes, as a developer, one of the things you must always have in mind is that your success stories will always contain some failure stories. So you can never be perfect in everything you are doing, and you might not get everything right at once. So meaning that if you are learning something, you might be learning something, might not work. Now say, maybe this program is not for me. No, it's for you. As long as you're able to learn that mathematics, you learn that course you learned in school, and you are interested. That's why programming is more of, at least if you know that, okay, you were able to, at least when it comes to study, you don't have problem with it. And then you have passion for it. Just keep on doing it. You will get it right one day. So success is failing and failing until you succeed. That is it. So to have those failures, if one failure will even do to you, because it's not even failure, it's not as evil as we think. You will always learn from it. You hardly learn from success actually. So you learn a lot from failures, and by the time you get it right like this, you are happy. And then lastly, the God factor, because you know what we have said now, it looks like, oh, you can do this, you apply for this, you'll be collecting, when I was talking about the talent and working for all these abroad jobs now, you have many abroad. Somebody was telling me the story of a developer was it when you went back or something like that. He has been working there and he likes, then one time he just got this abroad stuff and they were paying him $12,000. Just multiply that one by, is it 700 or 750? And he knows how much. The lady was telling me that, I said, the life of that brother just got transformed this time. He went and bought out. So it has a whole lot of sweet things there, but we cannot do anything without God. So the God factor is key, and that is that we must always ensure that we commit our ways to Him. Without Him, we cannot do anything. So, and I believe in a concept that if it is the will of God that, okay, this thing is for us, we surely get it. It might take some time, but as long as we don't lose hope, we surely get it. So I want to round up at this point. Thank you, guys. Everybody does thank you. God bless you.
Thank you. Sorry, can we unmute and give Bro Lumide a round of applause, please?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you all. Thank you. God bless you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, sir.
All right, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
All right, I think we've gotten to the part where we'll open the floor for questioning. We might not be able to take all the questions right now. Of course, some of the questions we'll take it back to the group, software developers group. But please, if you have any questions, please raise up your hand now. And of course, we will try as much as possible to handle and of course provide answers from our mentors, from our senior colleagues here. Yeah. Okay, I'm seeing some hands here. Okay, I can see Heaven's Joy. I don't know if that's a question or hold hand. I can see Akinwumi Femi, question or hold hand. I can see our Roll Vlog, Lot Ezekiel, questions or hold hand. So if it's a question, please, Akinwumi Femi, can you go, please? Okay. Okay, let's move on. We'll come back to him. Let's move on to Roll Vlog. Sorry, I don't know. You can unmute and ask a question, please.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
My
evening.
name is Ali Adele, and I'm currently a student of the University of Lagos. So, the thing I want to ask is that for some of us that we are actually studying courses that are not related to business, for instance, I'm currently studying insurance in University of Lagos, but recently we got interested in technology and stuff like that, and I really want to be a developer. So what kind of advice do you give? Because when I go online, I look at requirements for all these technologies. They actually require for BSc in computer science or anything stuff like that. So how manage or what advice can you give to us, to people in my shoes that are currently pursuing that? Thank you.
Okay. If I heard your question correctly, you are studying something different from computer science, and of course, you want to be a software developer, but in job descriptions, you've seen BSc in software related courses, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. One of our mentors, of course, we'll try and move the questions around. Brother Sheikh Moreshotu, is this something? Do you mind helping provide answers to this from a perspective? Hi, Brashegun.
Okay. Sorry, it took me some time. I was just trying to get the question completely.
Okay, so let me. He asked. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah.
so he is asking. He's currently not taking computer science course, but he wants to be a software developer. But in some job descriptions, of course, it's stated there that the applicants should have BSc in computer science or computer-related courses. How can he go about this?
Okay. Thank you very much, and thank you, Olumide. I think they did a very good justice to this presentation, and he has also stated in the presentation that you don't need to have your first degree in computing related courses. Uh, you can switch, you can finish your course and switch to software development or to other area of tech. What the next generation we are looking at before us is a generation of problem solvers to be able to solve problems and impact the environment around us or our world in general. So if your interest is in software development, I'm sure there will be companies that will take you for the skills that you have. So the most important thing you need to do is to build your skills. and you've had a lot of information that have been spoken here on this forum this evening. So I have a boss that always say Google is your friend. Go to Google University. So you go there, do small research on how you want to begin, and you can also have some people as your mentor in this forum that can also hold you and guide you on where to follow. I mean, the path to take, and step by step you build your skills. So when you are coming to employment and listing all what you can do, you are speaking from experience point of view and also from problem solving capacity point of view. And at that point, nobody will be looking at your degree or what you finish with. For instance, I have a couple of people working with me that are not into techie, but they are doing cybersecurity jobs. I employed them because when I did interview for them, they are smart. They are smart. When somebody reading biochemistry, not even engineering, but listening to a very smart young person and passionate, I gave her or him the job, and they are not disappointing on the job. And that is what you will see people like that. You may see organization that want to maintain. Although initially we had a standard that you must have a background in computing, but I have to switch from there, from that art and street requirement because a lot of people are also traveling out, and you need to build the younger hands. That's will be my contribution on that.
Thank you so much. I was very grateful. Thank you so much. All right. I hope that answers that question. If you need more questions on that, of course, you can drop it on the group chat, and of course, we'll take it over from there. Okay. Lot Ezekiel, please unmute and ask your questions, please.
Good evening, all. Yeah, my question is, can I go to back end without without coding, without starting from front end? Can I just start from back end?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. I think I'll give that to Brother Kolawole to help answer that. Brother Kolawole, do you mind helping with that?
Okay, sir. Okay, so the answer is yes. You can start learning backend without front end. I think it depends on your area of choice and interest, what interests you. That's where it actually begins. There's no principle guiding where to start first from. So you can decide to start from front end, you can decide to start from back end. Each of these two sides of the coin, they have their different dependencies and they have their different learning points. So again, the answer is yes. I don't want to really go too deep in too much information, but if the answer is yes, if the answer is no or yes, you want to hear, the answer is yes. So that's it. Right, we'll go over to you.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think we can continue that conversation on the group. Thank you so much. All right, thank you. Okay, I can see brother Akin Miss Femi's hand up. Please, can you go ahead with your question, brother Akin Miss Femi? Is that a question? Hello, Brakin.
Okay. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, please. Yeah, I can hear you.
My name is.
Sorry, can you speak up a little bit?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you speak up a little bit?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, it's okay.
Hello? Is it okay now?
Yeah, to a large extent.
Just, my name is Femi, I think, and my question is like this. Is it possible for someone to know HTML and CSS? Like, okay, let me have this, let's say 80% of 40% of the HTML, 80% of the CSS.
Sorry, Bafemi, can you raise your voice?
Yeah, I'm straining my
Can you
ear.
raise your voice so I can hear you clearly?
Can you hear me clearly?
I think it can still be better. I don't know. Can you maybe get closer to the mic?
Can you hear me clearly?
Better now, thank you.
Okay, better now. Okay, my question goes: is it possible for a front-end developer to know more on HTML and CSS than JavaScript?
Okay. Thank you for that. Is that the only? Is that all?
Okay, that's for one. That's number one question. The second question is it a platform or a channel for a new starter as a developer, front-end developer, where we can showcase our talent, a physical class where we can train ourselves and ask some question, mentorship. Because then whenever I started coding, there's this kind of question I needed to ask someone closer to me. Okay, I'm not be able to get. Okay, I want to ask this. And also, if I'm doing a project and there's this kind of question, I needed someone to tell me and explain more for me than verbal explanation.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for that wonderful question. I'll give it up to Bra Olumide to help answer that question. Bra Olumide, over to you.
Okay, so sorry, the first question. Sorry, can you remind me the first question?
So he asked that. Okay.
Hello?
Brafemi, can you go?
Okay, can I go now?
Yeah, please go.
Okay, the first question as a front-end developer.
Okay, yes. Okay, I've remembered. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so about is it possible for a front-end developer to know HTML and CSS more than JavaScript?
Exactly.
Yes, it's possible. In fact, that's even what you have. Yes, that's even what you have mostly with a lot of front-end developers. So because HTML, CSS it has a low entry. You can even just pick up HTML in a day or 2 days and you are done. And you don't even need to cram all the tags. Just know what you want at a particular time. And then even if you've forgotten the tag, you can Google or you refer to a reference material and then you get out the tag and write. Even CSS, the same thing. You don't need to cram all the positions, all the font size and all those property names that are used in CSS. So most of the time you see that developers, it's possible for you to know HTML, CSS more than JavaScript. But one thing that will happen at the end is that by the time you start building big applications, complex applications, you see that those deficiencies will begin to come into place. So that's why if you know that, okay, you have some defects in JavaScript, you need to ensure that you upgrade your skills. So begin to do emotion. And even the question you are asked now is I even remember sometimes whenever let's say maybe I'm conducting interviews whenever I'm conducting interviews for developers. So I discovered that they even know React more than JavaScript. So, and JavaScript is the basic. So even to me, I was like, this is like a problem here. And the major problem is that by the time those people start working on the task, most of the time, because they are thinking in React, they are not thinking in JavaScript. So a whole lot of problems happens, and sometimes it slows them down because there are some things that if they've had the understanding of JavaScript, they would have solved that problem easily. So that's why sometimes it's not even bad if you learn JavaScript 50% and you move to React, or you learn HTML and then you learn JavaScript maybe a little. There's no problem. But then essentially, as you are working on different projects, be upgrading your skills in JavaScript, so that when you are faced with complex applications, you will not be having issues here and there. Then to your second question, front end has a low entry. That's the only thing I see. But it's not also something that is even easy and direct like that. As complex as back end is, same can also be said of front end. Both of them are complex. They are simple, they are also complex. But one thing there is that one has a low entry. So if one wants to start his career, it's possible that one can start with front end, later switch to back end. Then also, on that our AFM developers group, for now, we have not, I don't think we have thought of whether maybe we want to separate people into front end, back end. You understand? So, because even full stack exists too. So, and say maybe later in the future we do it. So, for mentorship and co, I think that group will still be doing the work of both mentoring front end developers and also back end.
All right.
So, to do justice to your question.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everyone that joined. We really appreciate you. May God bless you all. At this junction, I think we've come to the end of the webinar. Big appreciations to God and to Brother Olumide who has helped with this. May God bless you. Sorry, considering the fact that we still want to use this room for other webinars, we might have, if there are questions, please let's take it to the WhatsApp group and continue the conversations from there, please. Sincere apologies. Thank you all for joining. May God bless you all. But before we go, let's say a quick prayer. Brother Tolu Orija, can you give us a short prayer to close? Hi, Brother Tolu.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Wesley. Our Father and our God, we thank you for this webinar. We thank you for helping us to kick off with the developers. And it's interesting why you were starting with the developers. God accept our thanks and praises.
Amen.
As we aim for the top, as we aim for good, as we aim to be better, because you have told us that when we are diligent, we stand before kings and not before men. As we begin this journey, for those who are beginners, and those who are already there, Lord, take us to heights that are higher than us in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Help us, oh Lord,
Amen.
grant us wisdom.
Amen.
Some of us are struggling to understand what it is, and we feel that this is the future. But as you guide your Holy Spirit, interpret these things to us and expand our minds.
Amen.
Lord, help us that we will continue to strive for the mountaintops experience and blessings.
Amen.
And everyone on this call that you will bless. I would also want to use this to appreciate our facilitators. Lord, please fill them with more wisdom.
Amen.
Another facilitator that will come on board in different webinars.
Amen.
Lord, please bless them.
Amen.
We'll bless you forever. We know you will do mighty things.
Yeah.
We know you will raise outstanding young people who are going to heaven. And then persuade us to come on and do this for us and much more. And bless the team that have put this team together.
Amen.
In Jesus' mighty name we have prayed.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you all. We can continue the conversation on the group. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful night rest. And God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Bayo. Just before we close, I just want to mention that the next two we have today, we have accounting and we have media content and creation. So if you're interested in any of those, you must have received the links to them. If not, just reach out to any of us. God bless you all. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, bro. Hope. Thanks, everyone. I think we can all drop off now. Thank you. See you some other time. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Have a wonderful day.
And you too. Thank you.